All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahushai. We give double honors to the apostle elders, which are the apostle elders that rule a great millstone, that have been set up through faith to help seal the elect that the Lord is bringing in. We're getting close, okay? We're getting close. I just wanted to do a quick report on this eclipse. I've done one already, but I found another article that goes into it a little bit more, because there was another eclipse that took place, and I'm gonna read the article and we'll get into it. And this article is from Universe Today, and it says, remember the World War I eclipse, okay? Because during the time of World War I, the eclipse happened, okay? There was an eclipse that took place, and the date is very beautiful. All right, let me go and read this article, and it says, the path of the total solar eclipse care not for the political borders or conflict, often crossing over war-torn lands. And the reason that it crosses war-torn lands, because the Most High is a power of prophecy, man. Okay? He's glorified in his prophecies because it takes a power to be able to predict events like this, in events, period. Okay? But the Most High has set forth the sun and the moon as signs, okay, for seasons, for high holy days. Okay? But they're being put forth as signs in the earth for men to see. It says the path of totality or total solar eclipse care not for political borders or conflict, often crossing over war-torn lands. It says such was the case a century ago this week on August 21st, 1914, when a total solar eclipse crossed over Eastern Europe shortly after the outbreak of World War I, known as the War to End All Wars, which of course didn't, because that wasn't the war. The war to end all wars is World War III, because the Lord spoke of 3 woes, and he says the third woe cometh quickly, all right, by the way of John the Revelator, all right, and it says World War I would introduce humanity to the horrors of modern warfare, including the introduction of armored tanks, aerial bombings, and poison gas. Death, man. And then there was the terror of trench warfare, which Allied and Central Powers struggled it out for years with little gain. And the war went on, man. Because these new things, it's called modern warfare, okay? What's the new modern weapons we have today? Thermonuclear weapons. That's what's going to be used. It's not going to be guns and different things like that. It's going to be modern warfare as these nuclear weapons. I got to get the scripture. This is the book of Isaiah 9 and 5, and it says, for every battle of the war is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. See that? And what's that fuel of fire? It's those nuclear weapons. Because what do they call them rods? They call them fuel rods. Fuel rods. Okay, so that's that fuel of fire that's going to be used, and then you're going to have the angels that's going to do the cleanup work. They gonna sweep what the missiles don't get, and they gonna get you scoffers, man. They gonna get Esau. They gonna get these other nations, and the elect will be preserved of you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the descendants of the children of Israel. All right, and it says, and right here, if you want to, this is a map of the eclipse that went through Eastern Europe. Okay, it severed Eastern Europe, man. It says the path of total solar eclipse on August 21st, 1914. And when's the date? August 21st is when the eclipse is going to take place in Babylon, America. Just like the World War I started with it didn't start, but it was already getting hot. And the eclipse came through on August 21st. Just like the war right now, we got what? Proxy wars in Syria, which are that's what it is, a proxy war, because you're funding so-called you're funding people to go and fight your enemy without you directly doing it. That's what a proxy war is. So we're technically in war, but it hasn't been fully declared. That's why this proximity war is happening. But it's going to be an actual war here in a little bit. And it says, but ironically, the same early 20th century science that was hard at work producing mustard gas and a better machine gun was also pushing back the bounds of astronomy. Instant, what is this? Instance annus mirabilis, or miracle year, occurred less than a decade earlier in 1905. And just a decade later, in 1924, Edwin Hubble, that's where you get the Hubble telescope. Edwin Hubble would expand our universe a millionfold with the revelation that spiral nebulas were in fact island universes or galaxies in their own right. That's why the Lord said, in my Father's house are many mansions. It says, indeed, it's thought to imagine that many of these discoveries are less than a century in our past. It was against the backdrop that the total solar eclipse of August 21st, 1914 crossed the Eastern Europe front, embroiled in conflict. Solar eclipses have graced the field of battle before. An annual solar eclipse occurred during the Battle of Ishlawana in 1879 during the Zulu Wars, and a total solar eclipse in 585 BC during the Battle of Thales actually stopped fighting between the Ladians and the Medes. And that's right here. I pulled up that let me get this right here. This is that battle that took place, okay? It says, Greek philosopher Thales Meles accurately predicted a solar eclipse, according to the historian Herodotus. If Herodotus' account is accurate, this eclipse is the earliest record of being known in advance of its occurrence. Many historians believe that the predicted eclipse was the solar eclipse of May 28th, 585 BC. And it says how exactly Thales predicted the eclipse remains unseen. Some historians claim the eclipse was never predicted at all. Others have argued the different dates. I mean, the Esau don't even know. All right. It says, according to Herodotus, and this is Herodotus right here. All right. Herodotus was a Greek philosopher. All right. It says Herodotus, a Greek historian, so like a historian who was born in Halicarnasse in the Persian Empire. And Lord willing, if you want to go into it, man, and look up, there's a lot of information about this guy. You know, a lot of information. I mean, he was deep into historian. I mean, Lord willing, I might look up some more about him and maybe do something. We'll see. But there's a lot of information about this guy, man. But back to this for the sake of time. And it says how exactly, or it says according to Herodotus, the appearance of the eclipse was interpreted as an omen, just like they are. These eclipses are signs, man. They're signs of the times that we're living in. There's signs back then and there's signs now. The Most High is doing things. That's why he allows these eclipses to occur where they occur at. The Most High controls everything. Nothing shakes without the Most High's approval. It says it interrupted a battle in a long-standing war between the Medes and the Ladians. The fighting immediately stopped and they agreed to a truce. All right, let me go back to the article. It says, let me see here. Let me scroll down here. It says, but unfortunately, no celestial spectacle, however grand, would save Europe from the Conflagration War. In fact, several British eclipse expeditions were already en route to parts of Russia, Baltic, and Crimea when the war broke out, less than 2 months prior to the eclipse, with the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand on June 28, 1914. Teams arrived to a Russia already mobilized for war, and Britain followed suit on August 4th, 1914, and entered the war when Germany invaded Belgium. You can see the ominous depiction of the path of totality from a newspaper of the day, says of the day, provided from the collection of Michael Zelier. It says, note, it's a cold little picture too. It says, note the graphic depict a Europe aflame and adds in the foreboding description of omens. Omen. Alright? So right here you see this article, or the newspaper article with the eclipse and then Europe and fire, man. Salakia. The laptop going dead, but we're gonna go as long as possible. And so this, hey, I'm gonna post this article so you Akim can check it out, go into it, and bring it out, bring some more points out. But the main things that I wanted was hit the eclipse of 1914 that happened on August 21st. So now I'm gonna bring out some of these scriptures. The first scripture I'm gonna get is the book of Luke 21 and 25. Alright, I don't know what happened. I don't know how much was put, but I'm gonna finish this scripture real quick. This is Luke 21 and 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. And you see the nations in the uproar. You got riots in Venezuela. You got the displacements of different people from the Middle East. We got the stuff that's going on in Charlotte, in Babylon. So all these things are taking place now because we're at that time. It says, men's heart failing them for fear and looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And what's that cloud? Is those chariots, so-called UFOs. We call them IFOs, okay? And they're going to be, man, the Lord is going to come back in a glorious manner, okay? Let me get the next precept. The next precept is Isaiah 13 and 10. This is Isaiah 13 and verse 10. And it says, for the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. And the sun, it says, the sun shall be darkened in its going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And if you see here, what do you see at the top of this article? You see right here, you see the sun and the moon. The sun's not giving her light, and the moon's not giving her light. It's darkened. You can only see the ring around it. That's why day is going to be turned to darkness for about 2.5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back in here. So these are the signs that was prophesied, man. And it says, this is Isaiah 13 and 11, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Who's the terrible? It's Esau. These Edomites. They're terrible, man. They're the violence of their hand. Look, the guy that ran into those people, that was a terrible act, man. You know, they got their judgment. Don't get it twisted. They got their judgment, but look how it took place. But just look at the history of Esau, the things that he's done: rape, rob, murder. That's the terribleness of the earth. You read Habakkuk 2. The whole chapter, man, covers it, and many more. It says, and I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the gold wedge of Ophir. And that's the Israelite man, the elect man. Okay? Let me jump into the next precept. This is, I'm going to read it out the Apocrypha. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 9 and 1. It's the 2nd Ezra 9 and verse 1. And it says, and he answered me and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. Stuff like this eclipse taking it, that's measuring the time. Because the Most High showing us signs and wonders and omens. It says, and he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass,